We are exposed to about 2.3 pounds of toxins every single day as human beings. That's the latest I've read in the research. And we have to figure out how to process those, and the body has to figure out how to process those. I don't think we mentally try to do that, but our body is exposed to more toxins than we were really ever exposed to previously. And I think that the toxins have just really burdened the body to the point that the body has a difficult time keeping up. And our organs are detoxing all the time. The brain is detoxing all the time. The liver is detoxing all the time. And they're constantly working for us. But the FDA is passing more toxins today. I think the last I read was over 40 toxins hit their inbox every single day. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but when this is happening on a daily basis, we are getting a lot more toxins approved to be put into our cleaning products, our makeup, our skincare products, anything that we're using in our industry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Sleep Like a Boss podcast. I'm Anika Carroll, your host, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that is super important for sleep, and that is toxins. And I have an expert for us here, and that is Chelsie Ward. Hi, Chelsie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you have a really interesting background. You are actually a registered nurse, but you also work as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So you are combining what I would say Western medicine, Western health thoughts with the functional world, which I love. And you help women with digestion, with hormone balance, with detoxification, because they're all linked. And we're going to go into that probably. And I'm super excited to have you. And should we just start? Should we dive right in?
Absolutely.
Great. Do you want to start by sharing your story, how you came to this and what you've been going through with regards to toxins and lifestyle and everything?
When my mom was pregnant with me, it started all the way back at birth, and it won't be a long story. She was a strawberry shortcake junkie, and she lived on processed foods and all the things. And then I was born with colic, so severe digestive issues from birth. And I was constipated growing up as a child. My grandmother would always give me suppositories. And by the time I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And growing up, I just kept having severe illnesses that would come up on me. And it's just things that no one really questioned. Is this concern? Is this related to diet or nutrition or, the lifestyle this child is living? ADD in middle school, depression, anxiety in high school, birth control by age 12. And then I ended up getting breast implants at age 18. By the time I was 27 years old, I was actually in perimenopause. I had not had a cycle in 3 years. And I was diagnosed with early perimenopause by a doctor by age 27. And I was I was a nurse at that time, but in nursing school, I had started questioning, what is really happening with my body? Why does it feel like it's failing me? And I was seeing a lot of the same things in my patients. Why are we all sick? And we're being told that medication and surgery are the way out, but I don't really feel like those are working very well for anyone. So it was during that time that I started to really get interested in a different approach. Mm-hmm. And that's what caused me to kind of go down this rabbit hole of, food as medicine. Our bodies are actually created to heal themselves. And I got really interested in the toxic burden on the body because when I hired probably my fourth or fifth functional medicine doctor, because I went through several who couldn't help me figure it out, he really started teaching me a lot about toxicity and how the body was so burdened with toxins. And when I did a detox, it literally transformed my life. So it was at that time when I started studying a little bit deeper into toxicity and how that impacts the body. And it's something that I started teaching others once I healed my body. I reversed every disease process in my body. I also reversed early perimenopause, and I'm 42 today. I'm cycling, menstruating, ovulating every single month. My cycle's better than it's ever been in my life. I live in complete hormonal health, complete digestive health, and I feel better than I have ever felt. So I just want to get this message out to other people that we can truly heal our bodies and get the proper rest, when we do find those missing pieces to our health puzzle.
And how are toxins such a big piece of the puzzle? Like, why is that an issue today, and how was that an issue for you?
We are exposed to about 2.3 pounds of toxins every single day as human beings. That's the latest I've read in the research. And we have to figure out how to process those, and the body has to figure out how to process those. I don't think we mentally try to do that, but our body is exposed to more toxins than we were really ever exposed to previously. And I think that the toxins have just really burdened the body to the point that the body has a difficult time keeping up. And our organs are detoxing all the time. The brain is detoxing all the time. The liver is detoxing all the time. And they're constantly working for us. But the FDA is passing more toxins today. I think the last I read was over 40 toxins hit their inbox every single day. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but when this is happening on a daily basis, we are getting a lot more toxins approved to be put into our cleaning products, our makeup, our skincare products, anything that we're using in our industry. We don't think about the amount of toxins we're exposed to just from being inside of our homes or inside of a building. And they are passing these things so fast because they don't have enough time to review them. And that means that we're just getting more and more toxins approved that we're being exposed to. And we don't really know the harm. It is because we're exposed, so much that we're just under this burden. So the way that really started showing up in my life is I was getting brain fog. I was getting skin conditions, the anxiety, the depression. And I feel like so much of what I was going through probably had to do with the fact that I was exposing myself not knowingly I was a processed food junkie, right? So I had severe digestive issues, constipation, probably some bacterial imbalances. I did end up with parasites. So of course I'm feeding all of these bugs with processed foods. I want the sugar. I turned into a sugar addict and just constantly suffering from that perspective. But I also was being exposed. I grew up in Oxford, Alabama, Anniston, Alabama area where Monsanto is. My grandfather actually worked and retired from Monsanto. And he said that he would come home, he would be at work and chemicals would just literally be dripping from his elbows every single day. They never knew how bad the toxins were that they were exposed to. So I was exposed.
Can I just stop you? Because for us, in the functional world, Monsanto, that's definitely a reference. And we're like, oh my God, he worked there. Can you, for the listeners and viewers, just quickly say what that means? Because I think Monsanto isn't necessarily something that everybody knows.
So Monsanto produces a lot of chemicals, and they produce chemicals that is now sprayed on our food. Our Roundup ready crops are sprayed with Roundup now. And this is to prevent these foods from, bug invasion, because the bugs want to eat the plants. Of course, that's kind of what happens in nature. And so they're producing crops with chemicals, and they're producing seeds with chemicals now that are now Roundup ready. And Monsanto is a big piece of this puzzle. And they're pretty much getting a monopoly on all of the farmers, all of the farms. A lot of these farmers have no idea what they're doing, but it's destroying the crops, and they're creating a lot of genetically modified foods that are just creating toxins in our body. Now, what this product does to bugs is that when they encounter this poison, their belly pretty much explodes. They explode from the inside out. So when these toxins are put in these foods, we are ingesting them. You can't wash them off. So what is happening inside of us is that it's creating a leaky gut, which means that the gut barrier is being broken down, and we are being just the wall of the gut lining. We're losing our mucous membrane, our vitamins, minerals, amino acids. Those should be the only things that pass through that lining. But unfortunately, it's becoming so weak and fragmented that a lot of foods are spilling into circulation. And what that does for the body is that the body says, wait a minute, these foods don't belong in circulation. So it elicits an attack on the foods. That's a big driver behind autoimmune conditions and things like that, because a lot of these food proteins mimic the proteins in the body. So, for example, the gluten protein and the casein protein found in milk, those actually mimic the thyroid protein. So when the body starts attacking these foreign proteins, it will then begin to attack its own issue on tissue. Hashimoto's is the number one diagnosed autoimmune condition, and I believe that it's really related to a lot of this. So that's kind of the whole picture of Monsanto for you, and some of the, just one example of many, many things that can be caused by some of those poisons. My grandfather did end up dying from cancer at age 83. He went through a lot of chelation therapy, though. He did a lot of things to really like heal his body, because he realized that a lot of these PCBs were in his blood. He did a lot of cleansing to clean those out, but still ended up, dying from cancer very quickly. But that was the result. And if you look at the area where Monsanto is, you see a lot of cancer cases in that area. I mean, it's just, it's rampant.
I was going to say that that's really the thing, right? You see it in the area. And I think if you also look at the farming populations and people living close to farmland where Roundup is being applied, and if you look at the cancer rates there, you see there's a significant discrepancy to towns and cities, right?
Yeah. And we played in this as kids. I was a cheerleader. My sister was a majorette. They tested these grounds where we were practicing, and we're rolling around in the grass, and they're covered in this stuff. It's in the soil. There's lakes and creeks that run beside Monsanto. It's running off into these people's yards. They had to do this huge makeover in the area where so many people were getting cancer that they were coming in and digging into the soil, just trying to dig up enough. And we know that that's not really doing anything to help, but it's really a sad thing that what these people are going through because of the toxins that they're literally living in their backyard.
Yes, and I think the one thing is, well, they are acutely exposed, like 365, right? But what I was listening to a podcast the other day, somebody was talking about a study that has been done on glyphosate prevalence anywhere, and I think that was a worldwide study. So, and what they were showing is it's basically everywhere. Like, I know most countries still spray it. There's some countries that are discussing now to not do it, but because it travels through air and it travels through rain.
Yes. And even these organic fields, they're downstream from an inorganic field that's being sprayed. So we're getting a lot of wash off, just in that same way. And just to clarify, like Roundup and glyphosate, same thing, right? So I just want to make that clarification, because I did mention Roundup, and that's really what I grew up hearing. My grandfather, I mean, he believed in the stuff, right? Yeah. He's spraying our garden, like around the garden, so we don't get bugs. He did not use like Roundup Ready crops or anything. He used like, natural healthy vegetables. But when you're spraying this around your gardens and your weeds, and it's like, oh, this is the best weed killer ever, he had a big field and just maintained it with this glyphosate, this Roundup. So this was a part of my toxicity puzzle as well, because this is something that I played in as a kid, not even knowing.
So processed foods, glyphosate or Roundup, what other things? What else is toxin exposure today?
So you mentioned air. We're exposed in our air. And I would say air, because we have a lot of industry and factory and things like that. And especially if you're living in a big city near an airport or near a lot of these factories, or near water where a lot of the waste is kind of dumped into the water system. Unfortunately, that is true. And we're also exposed in our homes. So a lot of the air that we're breathing in our homes is toxic, because We have fire retardants in our furniture. We're cleaning with with cleaning products that really have a lot of carcinogens, a lot of obesogens. These things are causing cancer. They're causing us to gain weight rapidly. Obesogens can make you, gain a lot of extra weight. And it's because of the toxins. A lot of things that we're putting on our skin, they're causing rapid aging. I know for me personally, when I changed my skincare, I thought, oh my gosh, like I feel like I reversed my age. Like people started saying your face is glowing. And I'm like, oh, this really does work. So aging, early signs of aging, even from wrinkles and clogged pores and acne, all those things can come from those toxins. The food, of course, we mentioned the food that we're eating. We're exposed to the herbicides and the pesticides that are sprayed on the food and our drinking water. So it's so funny that I begged my husband for many years for like a whole house filter. And he's like, we're not investing in that. So I did the under the sink filter and I did shower filters and just like most of the water that we were exposed to. And when we moved the last time, I was like, I'm ordering a whole house filter. So I did. And the first time he changed it, he was like, Chelsie, I'm so sorry, because it was so gross. Like it was absolutely filled. And he was like, we've been washing in this. We have been drinking this. Like this has been like, this is a part of our body. And the truth is you can go to the Environmental Working Group website and you can look up what is in your water. And it is full of medications, toxins, VOCs. It's full of metals. It's like there's just like lists and lists and lists of things that you would be absolutely shocked that you are drinking every day. Now we filter both our whole house and we also have an under the counter filter that's a little bit stronger that puts minerals back into water and those types of things. And I literally cannot drink water in a restaurant because, and I live in Texas, we have some pretty bad water here. It's mineral, like the areas that we live in. But a lot of women are losing hair, for example. So that's one thing that I see related to these toxins. So if you just add something like a chlorine filter to your shower, sometimes I'm seeing hair loss completely stop because of that. A lot of skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, some of these skin conditions are made worse because we're showering in this water. And then we have to think about our skin. Our skin is a huge like sponge. It will absorb anything that we touch. This is the reason that, my grandfather having chemicals dripping off his arms every day was not a good thing for him. This is the reason that we as children probably got exposed more because his skin touching our skin was exposing us to these chemicals. But your skin is absorbing everything that you put on it in the form of these lotions and potions to make yourself feel beautiful, look beautiful, smell beautiful. You're absorbing things in your water. So it's just, those are some of the most common that we are all exposed to. We will not get away from them, but the idea is to do what you can to reduce your exposure. An air filter. So I have 2 air filters in my home. I use Air Doctor. I have the water filters on my systems. I use organic foods in my home anytime possible. I try to grow my food anytime possible. So it's really just, doing what you can to decrease those exposures. And then of course, cleaning up your system in just natural ways to detox as well.
Yes. And how would be having a high toxic burden, if we link that to sleep, how could that be a problem? How could that affect my sleep?
We talked a little bit about like the gut and, how we're getting impacted with these foods that are leading to leaky gut and those types of things. So these toxins are actually spilling into circulation as well. When these toxins enter into the body, no matter how or where they enter in, we also have to think about the fact that the same blood goes everywhere. So these toxins are carried throughout the body, impacting every single organ system in the body. And when we sleep, that is the body's time to repair. So if we have anything interfering with or making it difficult for these organs to repair, then that's going to naturally disrupt sleep. So we can have inflammation in the body, inflammation in the brain, inflammation in the gut, inflammation in any other tissue or organ system in the body. And the body kind of goes through a physical detox early in the night. So about the first 4 hours of sleep, hopefully we're getting close to 8 hours. If not, that's another topic. But we're detoxing our organs, and we don't get to choose this time. Like, the body does this for us. We run on a circadian rhythm around the sun. Every 24 hours, we're working around the sun. So our liver detoxes about 11 p.m. is when it starts. So I'm usually telling people get in bed between 10 and 10:30 so you can be like fully asleep, ready to rest, so your body can heal at that, around that 11 o'clock time frame, because your liver will start to do a lot of detoxing. And the body heals when we're in a state of rest. Well, it's also very disruptive. It can be very disruptive to sleep, because you can imagine if you have liver toxicity, then your body is working really hard on that system to try to get it back to homeostasis. And it can be very disruptive to your sleep. So a lot of times, depending on what's going on inside your body or what organ systems your body's working on during certain times of the night, you'll find that your sleep is disrupted at certain times during the night. So for example, some people say, I can't get to sleep at all. That's like insomnia. I usually look at things like inflammation. I look at things like parasites, blood sugar balance, those types of things. And those will all be side effects of a body that's toxic.
Yeah.
And if you can't get to sleep, a lot of times those parasites become more active right after sundown. And they are in other bugs. So that is disrupting your ability to get to sleep. Then a lot of people get to sleep and they say, oh, well, I wake up like within an hour after going to bed, around that 11 to 12 p.m. time frame. Well, a lot of times that's liver, and that's liver toxicity, and that's waking you up. And then some people are saying, well, I wake up more around that 2 to 3 a.m. time frame. And I like to usually look at that as cortisol, that cortisol awakening, because anytime we have a stressor on the body, it can be a physical stress, it can be emotional stress. Some people are waking up kind of in a panic, like, I'm thinking about today's activity or tomorrow's activities. But a lot of times people don't know why they're waking up. It's not like I have a lot on my mind, but I'm stressed. I feel panicked almost, like my heart rate might be a little bit higher, or I'm just waking up for no reason, or I'll wake up to go to the bathroom. And a lot of times this is from your cortisol. And your cortisol is that stress hormone in the body. And the cortisol is responsible for giving us energy. So as stress raises that cortisol level, naturally it's going to give us that energy, and we're going to wake up at 3 a.m. wide awake, and we probably won't be able to get back to sleep. So toxins are definitely playing a role because their impact on these different organ systems and just the work that the body is responsible for doing at night. A lot of our emotions and things like that are repaired during the last 4 hours of the night. So we're kind of solidifying memories. We're solidifying like a lot of these emotional components. So if you're experiencing like any kind of toxicity, it can even impact you from an emotional level. So we may have brain fog, and we may be living with brain fog. We may not feel like we're getting good rest because we're not getting really into those dream states. We're not solidifying a lot of those memories, those types of things. We may experience things like anger. If someone is very toxic, they're going to have bouts of anger. They're going to be emotional. A lot of my women say, I feel very weepy. Well, a lot of times that's because the body is not completely detoxing estrogen, because the liver is responsible for that. We need to be pooping. We need good liver health. Those are two things that I want in place if someone is going to have good hormonal balance, because those are kind of the places that are responsible for getting rid of that excess estrogen. And if that estrogen gets too high in the body, then a lot of times we are going to end up in a state of estrogen dominance. And that's going to lead to these like emotional outbursts, these mood swings. A lot of these things we kind of just say, oh, my hormones are a little bit crazy. But I found that detox can really help those things as well. A lot of those hormonal things that are waking you up in the night, you feel like it's a hot flash, you feel like, different things like that. A lot of that can be related to the toxins as well, because that estrogen, again, is a part of that picture. And it's a part of the hot flash picture. But if you detox and you're able to process the estrogen efficiently, you're not going to be waking up in the middle of the night with hot flashes. You're not going to be waking up in the middle of the night needing to go to the bathroom multiple times. So it's all really kind of, goes back to the toxins. And if we start there, then, we can probably clean up a lot of these processes and improve the sleep, and then nail down, like if it's not working completely, or if that's not the full answer, then we go to the source. Okay, is this hormonal? Do we really need to focus on the hormones a little bit more? Do we really need to dive deeper and maybe do parasite cleansing or something like that? But I think starting with the toxins is just a great place to say, hey, low-hanging fruit to me. It's just an easy cleanse.
I absolutely agree with you. And that's one of the things, like when I work with my clients on sleep, that's the first thing we start, besides resetting circadian rhythm, really support the liver and start to slowly get the system to figure this out, right? Because it just also has so much more capacity to do any of these other things once we get that clogged up system moving properly, right?
Yeah.
What
Absolutely.
about, let's talk about detox, because we've used the word detox, and I'm always a bit like, people are going to go and Google like how to do a detox. That's not what you mean, right? Like, we're not talking juice cleanses. We're not talking just like a detox kit off Amazon type thing. Can you talk a little bit about detoxing from a functional health perspective in a healthy body supporting way means?
This is so controversial. And, a lot of people talk about detox. One, the body can't fully detox is what people say. And you hear that from a lot of like personal trainers and things, and it's not knocking them. But I think that a lot of times it's because maybe they've tried modalities that didn't work. So, and I've been there. I realized that, oh, maybe I should do a cleanse. When you hear about cleanses, so you hear about a juice cleanse or the master cleanse, which was like that lemonade with cayenne pepper, basically.
Yeah.
I think I almost died doing that. It was like one of those things that's just like, okay, my body was not enjoying that, and just horrible blood sugar response, all those things. So I've done the detox in a box, and I will tell you that there is a difference between all those products and a true detox. So a detox tea is not going to get you the results you're looking for, because the body, it goes through natural detox on its own, but it needs things to support. So it requires certain vitamins, minerals, and amino acids for the body to actually truly detox. And while the liver, as I was saying earlier, detoxes naturally all the time, like it has its own processes to be able to do that, we can support the body with the correct nutrition so that the body can detox on like a more efficient level. And what happens is this will start to impact our cells in a very healthy way. I even like to call it a cellular cleanup, because I like to think of detox as kind of going in and power washing the cells so that they do act and operate more efficiently. So things like, there are products on the market that you can use, and I do encourage you to work with someone in functional medicine if you're going to try this, because you're going to get access, number one, to professional grade products. And you're going to have a guide for someone to walk you through this step by step to help you know how long the detox needs to be, what products you need to be focusing on. It's important to make sure that you're alkalizing the body. You cannot just go into a detox if you're constipated. Yes. You need to be moving your bowels. You've got to get that out, because our pooping is one of the biggest ways that we're going to get rid of and dump those toxins. And also sweating and, breathing and those types of things. So when you work with a functional practitioner, they're going to give you the tools that you need to be able to do it most efficiently. There are products that you can use. You are focusing really on different phases of detox when you're doing a full detox, phase 1, phase 2, and I like to call phase 3 just that elimination phase, where most people are saying just focus on, phase 1 and phase 2. But you need the vitamins, the minerals, and the amino acids. You also need fiber. You need good water. In phase 1 of detox, your body is kind of pulling up toxins from the cells. And this is where a lot of people say, well, detox kind of makes me feel bad. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. But that's because you don't have the right ingredients that are working on phase 2 detox at the same time. So you want to do all of this simultaneously. But what's happening in the body is they're in phase 1, they're pulling toxins out of the tissues. And if you don't go into phase 2, where we're kind of tying those toxins in a little bow and sweeping them up to carry them out of the body, then you're going to feel really bad. So you also need different vitamins, minerals, and amino acids on board during that phase 2 to be able to wrap those in a little bow so that they can be eliminated from the body. And then in phase 3, it's really that elimination. You want to make sure you have plenty of fiber, plenty of water. And I like to use higher protein whenever I'm doing a detox, just simply because you're getting a lot of those amino acids naturally from protein. Now, this goes back to detox in a box or juice cleanses or the master cleanse, those types of things. You're not getting protein or amino acids when you do those things. Protein is required for your body to fully detox. So, and this is why the juice cleanses just don't work. Now, you might feel better if you do a juice cleanse. You're going to be getting a lot of nutrients. You might, you might feel like, oh, I feel great. There's a lot of change. You're getting rid of a lot of inflammatory foods. You're not eating processed or packaged foods. Your body's going through a shift. You're cleaning some things up for sure, but you're not sustaining good, healthy blood sugar typically if you're on just a juice cleanse. A lot of times we're getting too many sugars. We're not doing just the vegetables. We're doing fruits and vegetables, and it's just not natural for the body. I do say if you like juice, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that the sugar content is lower, on the lower end, and make sure that you're consuming those with foods. You're going to get better results if you're getting some protein and a little bit of healthy fat with those nutrients. A lot of our vegetables, they have fat soluble vitamins in them. So we need the fats to be able to absorb a lot of those vitamins. And so pairing all of that together can be super helpful instead of just kind of like just saying, oh, I'm going to do this detox tea. It's just not going to work for you.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. What about, so those are toxins that we're talking about from the environment, right? This is basically things we're exposed to. And yes, we live in a toxic world, so we need to, everybody just, I think, needs to do their best every day to support their body so it can deal with the burden. And if you have a higher toxic load because of age, because you've been exposed to things, doing something like you were just describing, guided, I think is great and is often necessary when we talk about insomnia. So for my clients, it's often the waking up in the middle of the night where it's like, oh yeah, okay, let's support the liver and we'll do a lot better already. But there's other things when it comes to toxins. If we talk about lifestyle, is there things that you would point out where you would say those are things you also look at because they could actually interfere with detox? I think you mentioned anger as one thing.
Yeah. So, and I think it can kind of go both ways, right? So I think anger is a good example. Anger is one, I think it can be probably caused by a toxic liver and we don't think about it. And it can also so it can be kind of a side effect of, and then anger can also just be anger can just be anger from like a personality traits, right? But really, I think that when we're looking at emotions and we're looking at behaviors, I think that they go really hand in hand. And I think that's where we miss it so many times in the traditional space, is that we look at one thing and we kind of silo these things. And we say, that person's just an angry person. That person's just a depressed person. They need to be put in counseling. They need to be on medication, instead of looking at the idea that maybe depression is because we have a neurotransmitter problem, because we have a gut problem, because we have a toxin problem, right? Or maybe the anger is a result of a toxic liver, right? So a lot of those things, a lot of those like emotional things are coming from just like organ toxicity. Mm-hmm. And like on the idea of lifestyle too, I like to think of like, what are we doing from a lifestyle perspective on a day-to-day basis to kind of almost mitigate the toxins that we're exposed to, you know? And I feel like just some natural things that you can do on a regular basis. One, we're not sweating enough. So that's having a negative impact on our toxic load. Sweat is one way that we release toxins. Our skin absorbs things, but our skin also releases things. It releases toxins. So sweating on a daily basis is a great idea. A lot of people say, I can't sweat. And to me, that's just one of the signs that your body is a little toxic. And you can do things like skin brushing. If you've never been introduced to skin brushing, you can kind of just type that in Google. You'll get a really good video on YouTube, I'm sure, that'll pop right up, that'll show you some of those techniques. But it's really just helping you move the lymphatic system, and that will help your body process and get rid of toxins. So I like to think of our lymphatic system as like the body's sewage system. And it's really collecting all the gunk and the garbage, and we have to move that. It's not like the blood system that naturally flows by the pumping of the heart. We actually have to pump the lymphatic system. So some of the lifestyle habits I like to share are things that will help get that lymphatic system moving, because that's going to help you what it does is it kind of dumps the toxins behind the heart, and it goes through the digestive system, and we end up pooping those out. Right. So skin brushing can be one of those things. Exercise can be another, just fast paced walking, jumping on a rebounder, those types of things. So just including more movement into your everyday lifestyle is super beneficial for helping you move those toxins. Another thing that you can do, like from a lifestyle habit, is we talked a little bit about sweating. So how do you increase sweating if you're not big on exercise? Maybe you have an injury, maybe exercise is not an option for you. So you can do things like baths. So Epsom salt is a great way. One, magnesium in the Epsom salt is really going to help improve good sleep, and it also detoxes the body. So it works on that stress response in the body. So it's kind of like that perfect marriage for me, for like someone who's suffering, not able to sleep, and also wants to work on toxins. So if you have skin issues, you can add a little bit of baking soda to that mixture. It's going to help balance the pH of the skin. So maybe you have eczema, psoriasis, itchy skin. If you're going through a detox, a lot of times people do have itchy skin, and it's because of the toxins coming out on the skin. And the detox baths with a little bit of pH, balancing Epsom baking soda, that's going to really help just kind of balance the pH of the skin, so you get rid of a lot of that itching. Again, you can add essential oils into that. I won't go into that because I could teach a whole nother class on just essential oils. But things for relaxation, there are oils that are great for sleep, things like Roman chamomile, things like lavender. Those are really great to add to your detox baths. And a lot of people don't have access to like a home sauna, but you can get a good sweat if you have a local gym or you have a local spa that has a sauna. That's going to be really helpful for just helping your body get rid of toxins. I would probably recommend doing that more in the morning, because your body can, from an exercise standpoint, it can disrupt your sleep if you're exercising closer to bedtime. So we want to combine these and really optimize our sleep. So to better do that, we want to use the sauna more in the morning or earlier in the day, because it will raise your heart rate as if you were exercising. But it is another great way to break a sweat. If you feel like you just don't really have the energy to exercise, or you're just looking for something more spa-like, to include in your regular lifestyle habits.
Great. Those are amazing tips. And I think so doable, right? Like we can take Epsom salt baths, we can put a castor oil pack on, we can just get a sweat on, like go outside fast walking with a jacket on, right? Like if it's not too cold out, just bundle up a little more. You're going to get that sweat going. It's totally doable without investing a ton of money into equipment and things. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share?
I just really want to encourage you guys to grab whatever nugget really resonates with you today. I know that we talked about a lot of things and we kind of went in a few directions. Detox has changed my life. I've watched it change hundreds of other lives. And I feel like it's probably that piece, that missing piece so many times that we just need a little bit more information and education on. And we're not taught these things. Growing up, we're not taught how to detox. We're not even taught how to eat anymore. I think that we're very fast paced humans. We're just ready to go and move on to the next thing. So I like to say, grab the low hanging fruit. If there's one thing or if there's 5 things that you can do from the conversation today, grab hold of that. Connect with someone who can help you do that if that's what resonates with you most, or go grab a castor oil pack if that resonates with you, or get a detox bath tonight. Go grab you some Epsom salt from the grocery store for $5 and put a couple cups in your bath water today. See how you feel, and just start moving the needle forward in this direction of really detoxing yourself, so that you can really make your body feel better, live in health, sleep better, all those things.
Thank you. If people want to find out more about you, where can they find you?
My website is chelsieward.com, ChelsiewArd. And I'm Chelsie Ward Wellness all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the places.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsie. This was a great conversation. This is such an important topic. Thank you so much for having been here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we will be back soon.